Welcome to my Legends of Runeterra faction guide series, and in this video we're going to take an in-depth look at the Shadow Owls. In this video we'll look at the faction identity of the Shadow Owls, their champions, then we take a deep dive into the mechanics present in the factions, we'll discuss the cards and combos you should look out for, see which factions synergize well with the Shadow Owls, and last but not least, look at a quick summary of this video. So let's start with the faction identity. There are three relevant themes in the Shadow Owls. The first one is a tribal theme, utilizing the cheap spider units to put a lot of them onto the board early, buff them up and overrun the enemy. The second one is all about ephemeral units. Ephemeral means that this unit will die at the end of the round or after an attack. After the champions, we'll look into this mechanic and see why this can be pretty powerful. Ephemeral also ties very well into the last theme of this faction, death. Death by sacrificing your allies, by triggering effects when allies die, and more. Since ephemeral units die very quickly, those two concepts are pretty neat to have in the same faction. And the champions of the Shadow Owls support those archetypes. Elise is the tribal champion supporting her fellow Spiderlings. Elise is fearsome, meaning that only enemies that have 3 or more attack are able to block her. This can be very handy if you manage to play Elise early, so she can attack once or twice to trigger her ability and put more Spiderlings on the board. As soon as you have 3 spiders on the board, at the start of your turn, Elise levels up, and this is where your Spiderlings will have a big power spike. Elise grants them Challenger and Fearsome, which means each spider can pick which enemy unit they want to fight. Weaker spiders can pull the big attack blockers, and the remaining spiders are then able to use their Fearsome ability to go straight for the Nexus. Hecarim is the champion supporting ephemeral gameplay. Attacking summons 2 ephemeral spectral riders, so Hecarim shines in an aggressive deck that shines in rounds where you can attack. After attacking with 8 ephemeral allies throughout the game, Hecarim starts buffing your ephemeral allies with +2 attack, which can give you the edge to overwhelm the enemy with an onslaught of ephemeral attackers. In a minute, we'll learn which cards can really shine with Hecarim as well. Thresh is all about the death aspect. Using his challenge ability, he can pick his fights to kill off weak enemies to level up quickly, which is where Thresh power lies. After the level up, which can occur during an attack, Thresh's first attack will summon an attacking champion from the deck. If your only other champion is Hecarim, you'll get a 6-power champion on the board for free, and Hecarim's ability is triggered immediately as well, so you get 2 attacking spectral riders on the board on top of that. So you want to protect Thresh until you can make use of his ability, and after that you can still use the challenge ability to get the upper hand in attacks. Last, we have Callista, and she's a special one. She kind of works with the death aspect, but I haven't seen her being played too much at this point. This is mostly because her ability feels not as powerful as the other champion's abilities, and I think it is very situational because of his setup time. I see her working good with last breath units and later in the game when her ability allows you to put higher power allies onto the board again and again. Okay. Until now, we've only scratched the surface of the faction. Let's begin with the deep dive and let's start with the tribal gameplay and our little Spiderlings. Focusing on this aspect requires you to pair the deck with Noxus, which contains the second part of the Spiderling set for maximum spider efficiency. The core idea of Spiderlings is that they are weak health-wise, but they win by having many on the board and buffing their attack while disabling the enemy to attack or block them. Let's look at some of their cards. This is a basic Spiderling, which is not the best value for your mana. But by using Crawling Sensation and House Spider, you can already put more Spiderlings on the board with 1 card. Using Precious Pet and Arachnoid Sentry, you can already attack in the early rounds without worrying about blockers. And this is crucial, because you need to kill the enemy Nexus ASAP, because Spiderlings scale well in the beginning, but suck in the endgame. You can either run Spiderlings as one part of the deck and then transfer to another endgame strategy later, or try to go full rush, which works best with other Noxus cards and champions. Playing cards like Frenzied Skitterer Brood Awakening and Arachnoid Host enables you to power up your Spiderlings far enough to take down the Nexus in 1 or 2 attacks if the enemy does not intervene. Pairing all those cards with Elise makes them even more powerful. Ephemeral can be played as part of other synergies, or you focus your deck entirely on it, for which you don't even need another faction. You could pair the Shadow Owls with Iona for some extra ephemeral synergy, but that depends on the deck you're playing. First, let's look at the cards that are not ephemeral, but work great with those units. Soul Shepherd buffs all your ephemeral units, and if you have 2 of those on the board, then your ephemeral units become really scary. Since your ephemeral units will die for sure, Phantom Prankster will deal a lot of damage to an enemy Nexus throughout the game and provides an alternate way to damage the enemy Nexus if the enemy can set up a good defense line. Iron Harbinger becomes stronger for each ephemeral ally, and with Steered Spirits you can generate more of them. The Spectral Matron is a very scary card because you can put a powerful card on the board while triggering the ephemeral synergy. But now let's get to the core cards of the ephemeral gameplay. One of my favorite ephemeral cards is the Shark Chariot, who revives itself whenever you attack with an ephemeral ally. Playing more of them gives your attack some extra punch and fuels Hecarim's ability. Onslaught of Shadows creates 2 free 2 Spectre Riders, which are ephemeral as well. And with Haunted Relic, you create free 1/1 spirits. Now imagine those last 3 cards in combination with Soul Shepherd, Phantom Prankster and Hecarim, and you'll see how ephemeral can overwhelm an enemy, even though your units die every turn. The Death aspect has way too many cards to go through each of them separately, so let's take a quick look at selected ones. One Death synergy is Killing and Reviving. You have a damaged ally that won't make it long anymore, then you play cards like Ravenous Butcher, Ancient Crocolith, Atrocity or Ethereal Remitter to put a lot of value on the board while killing your damaged unit. Then you can use Scribe of Sorrows, Mist's Call or the Rekindler to get your killed card back on the field. The more you kill, the quicker you can play your Scuttlegeist for free, and the easier you trigger cards like Black Spear, Fresh Offerings or Tortured Prodigy. If you kill cards with Last Breath like Cursed Keeper, you even get some extra value as well. And Ruination can destroy the enemy's game plan by wiping the board clean, while you can use your Death synergy to recover way quicker from it than your opponent. Let's look at some fantastic cards and combos of the Shadow Owls. First, we already talked about this. Fresh pulling out and attacking Hecarim is very strong, and so I say definitely look out for that. If you play a deck together with Freylord, you can cast Splinter Soul on Anivia to get up to 3 Anivias on the board at the same time, because Anivia does not care about being ephemeral, since she revives next turn leveled up and stronger than before. This combo exists in another form also in the Iona faction, and if you can't deal with this ASAP, then this may mean game over right there. Talking about Ionia. Deathmark is probably one of the strongest cards if you have ephemeral units, but you don't require the ephemeral synergy. It allows you to save an ephemeral unit from death while killing off an enemy one, which is crazy value on its own. But this becomes even stronger together with cards like Spectral Matron, which allows you to put anything on the board. There are also not a lot of counterplays you can do here, except casting Deny or killing off the targeted enemy unit before the spell takes effect. Then we have Soul Shepherd, which can double the power of your ephemeral units. Having 2 of them on the board, and your ephemeral units will spiral out of control. Ruination is one of the best spells you can have in a control or late game deck, mainly because you can save up to 3 spell mana. So Ruination can already be cast in round 6, denying all the board setup the enemy has done so far. And if you play only with high power units, you drop this at 6 and from then on you just drop 7 power units, 8 power units and just outvalue the enemy. There are 2 factions that work well together with the Shadow Owls, and those are Ionia and Noxus as discussed before. Ionia because of the ephemeral synergy, and Noxus thanks to the Spiderlings and the attack rush style gameplay. Now let's quickly summarize. The Shadow Owls feature 3 major archetypes: Tribal, Ephemeral and Death. Good synergies in deck building are Ionia and Noxus, and if you would need to find keywords for the Shadow Owls, then you'd probably use words like control style gameplay, tricksters, bait, wants to attack, wombo combo and sacrifice. Build your decks with those in mind, and you should do decent with the Shadow Owls. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to watch my videos about the other factions, which you can find here on my channel as well. Subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and I wish you a good day.